Did you forget to turn the mic on?
It's so soft. Fuck.
See, that means I gotta do the whole thing all over again.
I know.
So what?
What happened during your tender night? It's like a transit.
Oh, now the mic's working.
Number 10.
Yeah, apparently Austin forgot to turn the mic on. So if you didn't hear me so if you didn't hear me well enough, I said Fruitvale Station's number 10. Michael B. Jordan was really sold this. See it if you haven't seen it.
Number 9.
Number 9. This goes to a movie that Alex and I saw. Alex actually recommended it before I even heard of it. I didn't even know what the movie was called, but he said, oh wow, Matthew McConaughey's in this. This is gonna be pretty good. And I was like, oh, I never even heard of this. Then it got noticeable when the box office released the weekly updates. It got around number 9, I believe, in the box office, like in its second or third week or whatever. But this is Dallas Buyers Club. Al, what can you say about Matthew McConaughey as a guy who has been tested positive for HIV? And now he does what the FDA doesn't do is sell drugs in a buyer's club type deal. And he meets this cross-dresser who's played by Jared Leto. I don't know if you ever heard of him. You probably haven't. I haven't even heard of him when I saw this, but he does a really great job as well. I mean, those two performances really made this movie what it is. I mean, you can't really say much about it besides those two performances, but really, it had its humorous parts. I mean, it is a dramatic movie, but it had some of its funny parts, and it's got that Matthew McConaughey charm like you would not believe. And if you can't say anything, then all you gotta do is look at the handsome guy that's buying you dinner tonight. Oh yeah, Jennifer Gardner's in this too. But not very noticeable performance, but she's there.
Number 8.
Number 8. We always loved Mary Poppins. But we never knew what the behind the scenes was like. And I don't think we really questioned it until this movie was gonna be made. But that is, I mean, if you haven't even guessed what I'm about to say, it's Saving Mr. Banks. Emma Thompson. What can you say about her performance? As Mrs. Travers, the author of the Mary Poppins movies, that for some reason makes life difficult for Disney and company to make a movie out of it. But there is reason behind this. She has a love for her father, who's played by Colin Farrell. For all the crap he's been through, like the remake of
Total Recall.
Total Recall. Yeah, I mean, he kind of bounced back with this. I kind of felt he was pretty good. And Tom Hanks is Walt Disney. I don't know. We always thought, like, who would be the perfect Walt Disney? I would have never pictured Tom Hanks, but Tom Hanks did pretty good. Not as good as a movie I'm gonna mention later, but he did a pretty good job. Production design, I mean, they really made it seem like that it represented everything in like the early 1900s in Australia. Not only that, the old classic timey Walt Disney Studios and Disneyland. Jeez, they really pulled that off, and especially that TV sequence with Tinkerbell. I remember seeing those back in the old days, but they really brought that charm back. Plus, it's got that whole Disney happily ever after thing, which, people expect out of Disney movies, so it's nothing really. But, I mean, it really is based on a true story. I mean, that's how it goes.
Number 7.
Number 7 now is gonna go to a movie that just came out back in Christmas time. Oh, what a hilarious movie that was. And, you gotta say something about Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio. That's Wolf of Wall Street. That's my number 7. I mean, like I said, hilarious. It's 3 hours long, and people have complained about its length, saying that after the 1 hour 20-minute mark, it kind of lost its edge a little bit, and people were getting bored. They were waving the white flag, but who cares? It's funny. It's funny. I mean, the editing of this movie is really what has kept you awake throughout it, because for a 3-hour movie, I mean, you kind of have to be expected, to keep people interested in what you're seeing. So, Jonah Hill, I thought, did the best job out of everybody. His performance, I just got a kick out of. DiCaprio, he does the best. He does the best of what he's, been given. I mean, it's certainly better than Gatsby. I'll say that much.
Fuck Gatsby.
And great writing too. I mean, I can't remember the guy who wrote the script. Yeah, but he wrote a great adaptation for this, because it's actually based on somebody in real life. It just came out around Christmas time, so you still have definitely enough time to go see this. And if you can't handle 3 hours, wait till it comes out later, and then you can pause, and then you can give yourself an intermission, but it's definitely a check to see.
Number 6.
So now we're gonna get to number 6. And oh man, what an interesting movie this was. It certainly captured my attention because, you know, oh man, David O. Russell just has this charm about him where he makes memorable characters and he's got some memorable dialogue. Science oven. How else can you describe a microwave other than science oven? I love that. Oh man. But of course, I'm talking about American Hustle. Of course, Austin doesn't agree, but I enjoyed this. It's got its dark humor in it, I'll say that much. But it's believable dialogue, it's believable characters. I mean, it's specifically the hairstyles and the makeup of the 70s. I mean, come on. Bradley Cooper with the curly hair and the curlers. Christian Bale with that 70s hairstyle. Oh, that, oh, God.
When he lifts up his hair, he's like...
Yeah, it's like, oh, man. Just, they really got down the whole 70s style really good. Jennifer Lawrence does another fantastic job because this is another David O. Russell movie she was in. The previous was Silver Linings Playbook, which she won for. Now she might win again for Best Supporting Actress this year. Some people I know is like, oh, I really didn't get it. It was interesting. I just didn't get it. I don't get this whole hustle thing. But for what it is a really well thought out movie. It's smart. It's funny. It's dialogue that you will expect to have characters say. I mean, this is how, dialogue is what makes a script, as well as believable characters. I got a kick out of it. There were definitely some laughs in the theater, so if you want a good laugh and you want a good dramatic movie, that's something you should definitely check out.
Number 5.
Now we're gonna go to the top 5 of the best, and we're gonna start off with a movie which I think makes a great representation of what a stage play would look like if it was made into a movie, and that is Nebraska. Anybody out there that doesn't know what this movie's about, Bruce Dern plays a father who believes he has won the lottery. He's won $1 million. They're from Missouri, so he convinces his family to drive to Nebraska so that he can claim his prize. Alexander Payne, this is the type of director that really puts character development and a good script before everything else. And not only that, this was shot in black and white entirely. This is not a color movie. They really bring out great characters. Bruce Dern does a fantastic job. The writing for this movie is just absolutely gorgeous. You know, brings the whole message of, you know, togetherness of family and all that. It's a great blend of comedy and drama, which really is a good representation of life, in my opinion. Definitely check it out. It's still in theaters. You still have a chance to go see it before the Golden Globes and the Oscars come out, and I definitely recommend to go see that.
Number 4.
Alright, so now we're going to get to number 4, which is something that I would love to have put as my number 1 because I love the whole style of the movie, but unfortunately I had to be honest with myself and I couldn't. Number 4 is something Alex and I saw late night before we did our triple header the next day. This is Inside Llewyn Davis. Oh, the Coen brothers doing a great job of doing that script writing, I'll tell you that much. And Oscar Isaac, man, he could do folk rock. I mean, the music and everything in this is absolutely incredible. They did, and the one thing I loved about this, they got what New York was like in the 60s, especially, you know, the whole folk rock scene with the apartments, the way people dressed back then, especially Llewyn Davis, you know, the type of person that, you know, a folk rock singer would dress like and everything like that. Oh, but the cinematography, I mean, especially during the singing scenes, I mean, it really just captures this character Llewyn Davis is like and how he can't connect with people and how he's all alone and all that, and he's like an asshole. This is just absolute genius. People walking out of the theater, they're like, oh, it was too depressing. Well, that's the whole point. It's a folk artist's struggle to become big in the music industry, and unfortunately, this is this journey of what life is like being a struggling artist. And I know I'm gonna keep saying this for every movie that I'm on here, but definitely check this out.
Number 3.
Okay, so now we're gonna get to number 3, and that is another Tom Hanks movie.
Oh, I know what it is.
I should have said Alex Putnam movie, but we kind of got this is another adaptation. This is another based on a true story. A lot of these great movies that came out are based on true stories, if you really think about this. This movie's Captain Phillips. A bunch of pirates hijacking a boat, which hasn't been done in over 200 years, apparently. Oh man, the performance from Tom Hanks, What can you say? Definitely, I think, should win Best Actor, along with the direction behind it. They really adapted the story into something that really brings out the tension and the thrilling suspension that's being brought out there. I mean, I'm not going to spoil too much, but if you really want something that Argo, for example, was really suspenseful and thrilling, this is around the same par as that, just a little bit weaker than Argo, but it's still there, and it's still gonna keep you on your toes throughout the entire movie.
Number 2.
So now, we're getting into the top 2, who I think are the main eventers for the Oscars, but we're gonna start with number 2. When I saw that this movie was coming out, I said this would be a good D-Box movie. And if those of you that don't know what D-Box is, kind of like those shaking seats, this movie is called Gravity. The first 15 minutes of the movie, what can you say? Just one shot. I mean, cinematography-wise, this is the absolute best. Long shots, doesn't need to go off into doing, you know, fast clips or anything like that. It really just captures everything that goes on and really just keeps it in reality, and the danger and the thrilling and the suspense and all that about trying to get through space and get back to planet Earth alive. I mean, all the shit Sandra Bullock had to go through. But I would also say that she did great in that, representing somebody that's first time in space and scared to death. I mean, she really pulled that off. Conflict, just keep going on until they finally get to the end. Sound-wise, the soundtrack, how many people downloaded the soundtrack after it came out?
I did.
Only Austin. But I know my friends Jonathan and Mark downloaded the soundtrack afterwards because they loved it. This is what I would say is a great representation of a technical movie. Yep. Everything you need to know about the technical side. The cameras, the lighting, the sound, the editing, everything. This is the technical side of it. This is the Life of Pi, the Hugo, and the Inception of this year.
It's number 1.
And this is what we call the modern movie that goes up against the classic movie, which I have put as my number 1. And if you haven't guessed already, if you saw yesterday, you would have known that Shane picked this as his number 1, but I tend to agree with him because this was a very powerful movie. And if you really think about it, it has everything what makes a movie great. Great characters, great script, great conflict, really represents the time. But at the same time, you know, some people would feel pretty sick after seeing this for the first time, but it really represents a time in America where it wasn't the best time. Looking back on it, it's like, wow, what the fuck did we do? But this is 12 Years a Slave, which I think is the classic movie that will go up against Gravity in the Oscars, but I have a feeling this movie, 12 Years a Slave, will win it. Just because of the power of this movie, really draws you in, really just keeps you in lock, and it won't let you out until the movie's over. It will literally hit you with everything that this movie has got to offer you. Everybody from Michael Fassbender, who was Fassbender, my bad. And the other slave, the female slave, who I can't pronounce the name of it, and I can't pronounce the actor's name anyway. The torture scene at near the very end, I mean, what's just like the climax.
One-shot scene.
Yeah. Oh boy, really brings out the realism of everything that went on during that time. And I mean, this is basically everything that Solomon Northup wrote after his experience. You know, just thinking about it now is, you know, it's giving me the chills a little
Watch
bit.
That go insane, then.
No. You need to see the realism of this. And that's why it's my number 1. And these are why. These are my top 10 best movies. I want to say before I leave that I actually am gonna be uploading a video onto my YouTube account. That's right, I have made a YouTube account. So if there's anybody out there that has liked what I have said and you want to subscribe to my channel, just type in Great Cup of Joe. Saturday morning, I'm going to be uploading my review of the very first film of 2014, which is The Paranormal Activity. I have to leave you all for now, so until next time, I'm with Austin, or until you see me on my channel, hasta luego, and fuck the Steelers.
Seriously, do it. Do it. Do it.